This is TWiT.
I think there's a certain irony to this. Microsoft last week announced Windows 11, and I thought that all of the storm and drang, all the furor over this would be about, A, it's Windows 10 with a new skin, and B, they centered the start button and the task menu. I thought, I'm going to see acres of ink over this stupidity, and then it'll be done. And instead, Microsoft decided, they said, hold my beer. We can really make a problem here. We're going to say you can't use it with a processor that is as little as 2 years old. And oh, by the way, you have to have TPM 2.0. And then all the people who were about ready to say, I don't want Windows 11. I'm going to stick with Windows 10 because that's the usual refrain when a new version of Windows comes out. Instead, got to whine, I can't get Windows 11. I want it. I think this is brilliant marketing on Microsoft's part. They made people want something that they were prepared to hate.
Yeah. I think a lot of the stuff in there, like auto HDR, I'm very, very excited for that. If you don't know, HDR is a photography technique that oversaturates and undersaturates an image. And for post-processing in game engines, you can do that same kind of process. It's not actually that expensive. And Microsoft is enabling auto HDR.
Is that something that's going to be built into the... is it from the graphics cards doing the work? Or, I know it's a feature of Windows. It came from Xbox, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's going to be built into basically the graphics API. I don't know much about, I haven't dug into the API myself to learn how it works, but I could say the results of it are stunning. The processor overhead from my own experimentation with these kinds of post-HDR processes, it's not terrible. And it's like a lot of, I wouldn't say home runs, but a whole lot of doubles that they announced with Windows 11 that have me really excited for it.
Oh, see, there you go. And how do you feel about rounded corners and centered taskbars?
I'm for it. I think
it makes
Windows
it look like a Mac.
Yeah, it does. John Gruber has said for a long time, Microsoft should go hire some really talented designers and force Windows to start over and make it look more modern.
Yes,
and
they did that.
From what I've seen, it looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah. That actually, I have to agree with you. Of course, all the controversy is about Microsoft's seemingly arbitrary requirements for compatibility. I think it's their right to do this. Apple does this every time, right? They just so and I think the unsaid supposition is that they're doing this to sell PCs, to help the PC industry sell more PCs. To require you, if you want to use it, buy a new PC. But I always
buy
point
a new
out,
PC versus what? A phone?
Upgrade. Versus. So PC industry, by the way, had a great year last year in 2020.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the problem they're trying to solve?
There's a suspicion that great year won't be repeated next year. That everybody who wanted a PC will have bought a PC. That the reasons people ran out and buy PCs for Zoom classrooms and work at home are going to evaporate. Actually, that turns out so far this year not to be true. That people are, in fact, buying PCs in droves this year as well. Maybe because they're getting to work from home. I don't know. But I think there was some concern the PC industry would see a big dip. And that the supposition was, well, Microsoft's going to juke it by offering a new version of Windows. Traditionally, in the Windows world, that's how you get the next version of Windows. You don't upgrade. Windows 10 broke that mold. But prior to Windows 10, you just use Windows until you got the new computer, and then you use the next, whatever it came with. People didn't upgrade.
A lot of these companies that are doing some form of intermittent or permanent work from home or flexible work schedules, which include enormous companies like Fujitsu, like
Google's doing it now. Yeah.
What's that?
Google.
Yeah. So, so if that's the case, then every one of your, we're moving into this sort of BYO, bring your own device.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that has helped. Unexpectedly,
so
I think
that's going to, right. And that will probably continue as people sort of sort out and figure out where they're going to be. But on the other side of that, if I was a CISO right now, I would be hair on fire trying to figure out what I'm going to do for security because
no kidding.
What's the over under on your employee patching firmware or whatever's updating their router? You know what I mean?
Oh, I completely agree with you. I think that in the long run, the only thing that went wrong with the Windows 11 launch was PR. and that
Yeah.
Microsoft's not handled it well. The communication's been poor. I think they'll probably solve this by changing the requirements over time, and I don't think it's going to end up being a long-term black mark. But I think the PR was terrible.